At some point, they told me I could walk for, like, slowly walk. Like, I would walk down to the mailbox and back. Like, I would walk for 2 minutes, and then I would walk for 5 minutes. And I took my heart rate monitor. I checked my heart rate. So at some point, I hope none of my doctors are listening to this. At some point, I got on the bike and I kept my heart rate below 100 beats per minute, because that's what it got to when I walked slowly up a hill near my house.
Smart girl.
And I got on, and there were some days where I did 5 minutes, and I just pedaled, and my heart rate was like in the 80s, but it just reminded me, okay, I'm alive.
Yeah.
I'm doing what I love. It's only 5 minutes. And for all those people that wonder if these 5-minute classes
I was
count,
just thinking that.
Absolutely, they do. You do what you can when you can, to the best of your ability.
It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. You know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out, episode 189, I believe. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe, I believe. Yes, I am. And it is episode 189. Yeah. And speaking of, I was 189 before the holidays.
And then the holidays. Ooh, holidays. But there was so much good food.
There was. And
now I feel like there was so much good food.
It's all inside of me.
Same.
Oh, goodness. So, how you feeling?
I mean, I'm good.
So,
from a health standpoint,
we should probably talk about here something that we did.
Yeah.
We didn't say anything while it was going on.
We did not. Yeah. A few people know.
We talked about, mentioned on a Zoom call, but we did the COVID vaccine medical trial. Now, we're not frontline workers,
no.
but we both went in and did the vaccine.
We did.
Thingamajig.
We did.
So back in late July, early August,
yeah.
I think it was. So that was really cool to be a part of. We were very excited about that.
It was. And because we live in the same household, we pretty quickly figured out that you got the vaccine.
One got it and one didn't.
And I got the placebo.
Yeah, which works out well, though, because as I've talked about, my job has me doing all this weird
Absolutely.
stuff.
If one of us got the real thing, I'm glad it was you.
Because I'm the one that's out working in morgues and checking in people as they get their COVID tests.
Absolutely.
And in fact, the people that are doing those sorts of duties where I work were actually reclassified as healthcare workers and were offered the vaccine. I didn't get it because
I already
got it. I didn't want to eat up a dose, and they wouldn't let me give it to you.
Yeah.
I asked.
Thank you.
But
you're the bestest.
But they were like, yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I can try. So, but anyway, we're really excited, and it's cool to be kind of like in the middle of it, seeing how they actually do it. And I think it brings some comfort knowing like how thorough they are and how serious they're taking it. So if you have your chance to get the vaccine,
we encourage you to do so.
It's a lot of fun.
Well, you know what? It's more fun than getting tested for COVID.
That's for sure. I'll take the shot over the test because I've had like 4 of them now, and it's.
And I've only had 3 because one in each nostril,
right? And
then but I haven't had the actual vaccine, so I understand that it can make you feel a little achy, but nothing compared to sticking that thing up your nose.
Yeah, real, I'd take the shot over that any day of the week.
I mean, it's important to do because we want to keep people safe, but yeah.
So, but I did have the side effects that they talked about. With one being super effing cool. Not gonna lie, had a bit of a head start, but for real, like I got chills but never got a fever and got super fatigued but
only for a few hours,
and then went to bed and woke up and I was fine.
Yeah. So I mean,
and I think we all know too, I'm a giant puss.
It's true. It's true.
So I mean. Like, don't let that stuff scare you. If I can come out the other side of it okay,
you can too.
Come on.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you get your shot, if you get a shot to get a shot, don't throw away your shot.
Right.
As Hamilton would rap.
He would.
He would. So now that we've got all that out of the way, what, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
There's just a lot of odds and ends, mostly news articles. There's a lot of stuff going on in the news. We're going to talk about some delays we're going to talk about the stock market. We're going to talk about, there's a couple of celebrity sightings, some interesting... there's some signs things are happening in the Peloton studio, which I'll get to. So just kind of across the board, a lot of interesting things.
Awesome. Well, before we get to all that, shameless plugs, don't forget we are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeart.
All the places.
TuneIn. Spreaker. Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Maybe. If it is, we're there. You should go find us. So be sure and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Leave us a review. That's helpful as well. We have a new review.
We do?
Yes, we do.
Yay!
This is from Jay Meckelson.
Okay.
And I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's pretty lengthy, which is very nice. We're not complaining.
We appreciate that. We're not complaining.
We're not complaining. But since I found the clip out after becoming an avid Peloton digital app user during quarantine, and it's become my favorite podcast.
Oh, wow.
Crystal and Tom take a fan's enthusiasm and apply it to look at all elements of Peloton, including strategic business decisions, product launches, branding, instructor personalities, community engagement, sports psychology, and company mission.
He needs to write our description for our podcast.
I know, right? I'm just going to cut and paste this.
I know, dang.
So, and he also says, or she, I'm not sure, says that they enjoy the John Mills segment as well. So I didn't want to skip over his shout out.
Absolutely.
In a iTunes review.
We love those too.
Yes. So anyway, thank you very much.
Yes.
We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and sign up for our newsletter at theclipout.com. And also, don't forget our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
YouTube.com/theclipout, where you can watch these episodes in all their glory. So
you can see the facial expressions.
You can see the faces that I get Crystal to make. You can see, she's making right now, you can see Monica Ruiz or Andrea Barber or
any of the awesome people that you ride with every day.
Right, totally. So
there's nothing like seeing John Mills do his exciting, like he has so many like reactions to things. I love his reactions.
And seeing John Mills makes up for having to look at me. So that was the thought process behind that. So anyway, there's all of that. Let's dig in, shall we?
Let's.
Breaking news.
So joining us again is John Mills from Run, Lift, Live. Hey, John, how's it going?
Good. How's it going?
Good. It's good-ish. It's good to be in flyover country right now, I guess.
Give it a day or two.
Yeah.
So,
totally.
We have a lot of things to cover with you today. So, we'll see how many of these we can fit in. First thing I wanted to bring up with you guys is all these shipping delays. Now, we've been hearing about these for months, so this is not any kind of new information.
But it seems to be reaching like
critical mass
or a tipping point.
I think that it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if you're aware, John, but there's a group out there that's like, I don't even know what it's called. Something about like people who haven't gotten their Pelotons, but it's not that. I mean, it's not the words, but it's something to that effect. And so apparently it was started on October 20th. And it has 6,000 people of it. That was this morning. I don't know.
We looked at it last night at around 11 o'clock St. Louis time, and it had 5,900 people. When we woke up this morning at 6, it was at like 61 or 6,200 people.
It's still okay. So I just checked on it. The official name of it is Peloton Delivery Discussion Group, and it has 6,100 people in it. I feel like they might have called some members. Actually,
yeah, because I think it was higher.
It was. Yeah. It was. So that's interesting. They're
kicking out anyone when they get their Peloton. It's like Menudo.
You have a Peloton? You're out of here.
And this group exists to discuss exactly what it says, all the delivery issues. There's obviously a lot of complaining and venting in the group, which is understandable.
Sure.
People are frustrated. But also people seem to be talking about like best ways to get it quicker, alternate bikes, alternate ideas for things to do if they don't have their bike. And there's also a new Twitter handle that's called @OnePelotonLies that has begun, and it's just screenshots of everyone tagging John Foley and complaining. That's what we got. So what are your thoughts on that, guys?
Oh my God, I've got so many thoughts on this. First, this has been this way March, April.
Yeah.
Right. It's just gotten a little worse, came down a little bit, but it's consistently been 10 weeks plus. And but I heard Peloton say anything publicly about it, and I'm not sure I've really seen anything really a structured kind of way of resolving the communication around it. Like I haven't seen anything like that.
Agreed.
It's just kind of just been a consistent problem, which has thrown me. I was expecting something like that to happen. The demand is so high that it's really become a problem for Peloton, right?
I mean, it's clearly become a problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my thought is, to us, we're seeing all these people in my group. I see them and I hear them complain about it. And, I didn't get my bike. I'm waiting on my tread. They rescheduled me again and again and again. But since Peloton isn't really saying a whole lot, I know their numbers are just going through the roof. And we're in the busy season, typically their highest quarter is January through March. So, like, for them, is it really bad? Right? Is it really?
I don't think it is. I mean, I think it's going to. So, I think it's getting there, though.
Yeah.
I think the noise is getting loud enough that it is going to get there.
Because I think you're going to see there's going to be kind of a lost generation of people that would have been Peloton users that have decided, like, well, maybe I should try something else because if I want to start my fitness journey, I don't want to wait 3 to 6 months for a bike. And so right. I think you are going to. They're really running the risk of starting to lose not members that they already have, but potential members.
Yeah,
that they would have realized, but now they won't. And I get that the influx right now is so great that maybe it's kind of like, well, I mean, what are you going to do? And I do feel bad for them because I know it's a combination of COVID caused. It's a blessing and a curse, right? It caused a super spike in demand, but it also completely disrupted the supply chain, and that's a bad combo if you're trying to put a product in people's hands. But I do think so. I don't think they're necessarily responsible for the issue, but I do think that they're responsible for the communication on the issue. Has not been stellar.
Yeah, there's been, I was looking today, there's been 2 kind of public comments. There was one back on Thanksgiving Day. There was a message from John Foley, and then there was another one that came out as an end of year kind of thing from John. And both of those, he cited that they were not doing as well with the service as they felt like they should be. But that's it. That's all there's been. Right. I mean, and the reason I think that it's going to become a bigger problem is because now you have these people self-segregating and they're in an echo chamber of anger, which, don't get me wrong, they did nothing wrong. I don't want anybody to misunderstand. I get why they are frustrated.
Totally.
But now they're self-segregated, and so they're just like getting each other riled up, and that number is growing so fast that I am concerned. I am concerned. The Peloton needs to do something. They need to get loud, and they need to, like, I don't know what the answer is, but they need to do something.
Right, and that's what I've been waiting for. Like, where's that threshold where Peloton finally says, oh, we got to do something big. We got to do something.
Disposable echelons. That's my.
I mean, I think that's redundant.
You send them an echelon. You send them an echelon that when the real bike shows up, they can just throw away the echelon.
I don't know if this group that what the people complaining in is really enough yet, right? Because that sounds like even the people in that group, right there. There's still people wanting a Peloton. They're just complaining because they haven't got their order yet.
I mean, there is a lot of that. There are also people that are like legit, like, why are you waiting around? Here's all your alternatives. Like, they're selling them on other bikes. I mean, it's happening. It's definitely happening. And I don't mean that everybody in that group hates Peloton. I don't mean that everybody in that group is like not going to get a Peloton.
But they're frustrated.
But they are frustrated. Right. And I think that, like, every day there's there's like this like timeline, right? And I don't know where that point is where Peloton's like, oh shit, but I feel like we're getting closer.
Yeah.
And that's where I started feeling that too. Like as we got later just into December, I started thinking, this is everywhere I go, no matter what, I hear about that whenever Peloton is mentioned. Like, so, like you were just showing the image of where Peloton mentioned the cool down.
Yeah.
And then underneath that post, you just see a bunch of people going, yeah. But what about my order?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
It's not good. It's not good. It's not a good look for Peloton.
It is not.
I hope.
It made me think that, or do they have like something that they're just kind of going, we just got to get to this date. Like we're about there. And I keep thinking, if they're doing that, if they're just looking at some date, it's coming, we're almost there. Is that the Magtonic thing? Because isn't the Magtonic facility supposed to already be open? I haven't heard anything about it.
It is.
Like, are they going, we're almost there, one more week? Like,
I hear you. And it would not surprise me if that was the case, that Peloton's like, we just need to make it to X. But if that's the case, like, wouldn't it be good to tell people?
To give people heads up? Yeah.
I don't know, but they've done things like that before. They've kept their mouths shut and they've weathered the storm. I just think that may not be the approach to take on this one. I'm alarmed.
Yeah. And then in the middle of all that, we get that Weight Watchers is launching their own digital coaching app.
Yes.
So everybody's getting into the game.
Yeah, it's they're coming out of the woodwork everywhere. And I think that's another concern with all this, because it's like they have all these competitors. You've pointed out many times, John, that there's other competitors that are using Peloton's long lead time as a selling point.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on this Weight Watchers thing?
Well, I mean, Jackieson kind of pointed this out in my group. Ultimately, you know that they're really likely looking at Noom, right? They're saying, okay, here's this other health and wellness app, and they're suggesting different exercise programs as a part of their programs. My assumption is this is Weight Watchers, and they said in 2018 they're trying to get away from losing weight, and it's more about health and wellness. And this looks like just another piece, component to that, to get closer to that. And because now they have this competitor in Noom, they're going, oh, we need to hurry up. And so let's offer coaching that's more geared towards health and wellness. I think that's the ultimate reasoning. But what makes it interesting is, as a part of that, they're offering their own content. I don't think Noom does that. I think they suggest, like, go take this, Nordic track class. But
really? I didn't know that.
I don't
offering their own content. That's what makes this one makes you go, okay, well, what are they going to, other than allowing users that have already signed up for a Weight Watchers program to use those classes, how else are they going to offer those classes? Will they have them just for usage in an app for someone who doesn't necessarily want the Weight Watchers membership? Like, it becomes a question, like, what are they going to do with that? That's where I think it would then be more competitive against like a Peloton Digital.
I wonder if they'll start using, because they do a lot of celebrity endorsements, and I wonder if you'll start to see, as part of the endorsements, the celebrities create content for their app.
Right.
Because Oprah was on Weight Watchers for a while, Jennifer Hudson. Like, there's been some really big names over the years that have been a part of that world.
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
I think it's really interesting. I think the combination of you're taking kind of the idea of kind of health and wellness and the psychology of it, and then kind of bringing it together with actual physical fitness content. I think that idea is interesting. I don't know if it's really competitive against like a pure play digital fitness, platform like Peloton.
I kind of feel like it isn't. I'm not saying they won't have some people go to that. I'm not saying that Weight Watchers won't be successful. I'm honestly, I think that they will be successful. I just don't think that you're pulling away the same people. And one reason I don't think that is because, you know how there's some brands that are left over from like your mom? Like this is one for me. Like my
Avon.
mom. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like Weight Watchers is like my mom's weight loss kind of thing. And there's nothing wrong with that, but they don't, like, it doesn't feel modern. So I think they're going to need to continue to refresh that to really pull people away. I mean, when I think technology and fitness, Weight Watchers is not at the top of my list, you know? And I think I also think that like people like my mom would never use Peloton because they don't like technology. So there's a place for both. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I just don't see a lot of overlap.
Yeah, I don't know that any of these sorts of things are necessarily direct competitors, but there's just a lot of nibbling around the edges that over time,
that's for sure,
adds up.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, we know Peloton started talking health and wellness as a part of their content.
And we suspect
offering.
that there's nutrition.
Right. And so, I mean, I guess they're kind of moving towards each other, but I don't know that it's close enough now to call them competitors. Yeah. By the way, back in '89, I was buying black suede cologne from Avon. And I ordered some about a year ago. So don't hate. Matter of fact, I wore it once to the studio, and someone was like, that smells really good. But I was afraid to tell her where I got it.
I'm not hating. I don't hate Avon. I was just saying that like that's a different generation.
Yeah.
Like Tupperware. It's also, I love Tupperware, but that's my mom's, man.
Yeah. I've been to last time I did go to a few Tupperware parties with my mother in the 70s.
See?
Oh, yeah, those were the worst.
I still have leftover Tupperware from my mom that she's passed over to me.
It was good stuff.
It's good stuff. You can't complain.
It does last. Man, those cool.
If I should have told that Avon cologne story, I might get some messages on that.
I bet you will.
Their Kool-Aid pitchers were the best, though. Right?
The Avon? I mean,
no.
Wait. Oh my God.
Tupperware. Yeah.
That's what I was talking about.
That tan one with the lid that pops right in.
And then turns, spins.
We all had that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who didn't? And the cake carrier was my favorite because you could use it for different things. Like you flip it upside down, use it as a big bowl.
Well, and then moving along, apparently Bank of America thinks Peloton is a thematic stock favorite. I'm going to be perfectly transparent. I have no idea what I just said.
Honestly, those just feel like words.
Could you translate that into people?
They like Peloton. That's what I heard.
Well, I mean, they have lists of stocks that are around a particular theme. And so folks that are looking to invest, if that aligns to who they are and their interest, then that theme might be interesting to them.
Okay.
So it sounds like they've added Peloton into the millennial Gen Z, their list of stocks that fall into that theme.
Okay, that actually is pretty important then, because Peloton's been saying for a while that younger generation is their fastest growing customer. So I do think that is very notable then. Interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not, I don't know how much that's really, I don't know how much it's beneficial to Peloton. My assumption is it will be, right? I mean, you go in, you want to invest, you're not quite sure what to invest in. They tell you about these thematic lists and you go, oh yeah, that's me. That makes sense. Okay, go in with that.
That's what I think.
I'm assuming it would be helpful, but I don't know how much.
It's like the back end.
Right.
Yeah, I just read that and was like, I have no idea what that means. I didn't even know that they collected stocks like that.
Well,
that's how I organize my comics.
And that story was from Justin Post. He tends to be pretty complimentary to Peloton. He has kind of a positive outlook on where they're going. So I think ultimately, it was probably a good thing.
We have the flip side of that next.
Right.
Yeah, which is Jim Kramer, who's never wrong.
Kramer's killing me.
He's never been wrong. He's like the weatherman of stocks. Like it doesn't matter how wrong he is, he gets to keep working.
Kramer is so reactionary when he's supposed to be forward looking. So he says back in October, November, or whenever they came out with that we had now a vaccine that was about to be approved. And at that time, I think Peloton was somewhere around 139.
Okay.
And I didn't hear anything from Kramer until Peloton dropped down to around 111, 110.
Then all of a sudden,
Kramer was like, you got to get rid of these stay-at-homes, including Peloton, because it's over. And so then Peloton dropped slightly below 100, but then ran back up to 160. And as it was going back up, Kramer's going, Peloton's a solid company. You kind of have to stick with a solid company.
He's really banking on the fact that people don't have DVRs.
Right. And so then it goes up to 165 or whatever. and he still hasn't said anything. And now it's dropped down low 140s. And now I hear this. Oh, I don't know about these stay-at-homes now. I mean,
okay,
you're right. It sounds like the weatherman in San Diego. Telling me every day.
I've heard stories of people.
And then one day it rains, and he goes, "Oh yeah, it's going to rain. I'm looking out the window. It's raining. I know. I'm looking."
I've heard stories of people who've gotten the vaccine, gone home, and just wheeled their Peloton out for the trash. They were like, "No more. I am cured of the COVID."
Said no one ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm glad that that's how you feel about it, because I think that he is not accurate. I said nicely.
It's just very reactionary. That's the way it feels like. The timing.
Yes.
This will be the second time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he has his own little pattern. Maybe we should start doing reports on how he reports.
We start or buying against him.
Yeah.
Use him as a way to go the other way. So
by the time he speaks about it, it already happened.
Right.
That's been happened.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us again this week, John. And before we go, remind everybody where they can find you.
They can find me on Facebook in my Run, Lift, and Live group or page. They can find me on Instagram, Run, Lift, and Live, or at runliftandlive.com.
Awesome. Thank you, John.
Right. Thanks. Talk to you guys.
Okay. Bye.
Peloton tweeter extraordinaire. I don't know what else to call him. We need a better thing for Bob Treemore.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
But the tree monster?
No.
No?
No, it needs to be something. I mean, that's
what do
catchy.
they call those very wise trees in Lord of the Rings?
Oh,
we should call them that.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So
I like that.
I'm a nerd, but I couldn't make it through those books.
I never read them either. I saw the movies, though.
It was too much like homework. I felt like I should be taking notes, and I'm like, can't do it.
Too slow.
Yeah. So Bob Treemore tweeted.
He stopped listening.
Yeah.
He's fallen asleep.
Yes. I think a lot of people have. That there are some signs that maybe studio classes might be in our not too distant future.
Yeah, I was super excited to see this tweet because, I have thoughts, but one of my things is, okay, so he tweeted this because he found a job listing. He keeps a close eye on those. Mm-hmm. And he found a job listing for a studio person to help members with bikes before classes. And why would you need that if you're not doing it before classes?
Absolutely.
It was for the New York City studio, in case anyone is wondering. I don't mean the UK studio. I think this is timely because it's been on my mind lately as we are now in 2021. Will or will we not have homecoming?
Totally.
And so, we certainly can't have it if the studio isn't open.
That seems like a fair assumption.
Right. So I'm hopeful that this is real and it's soon. But I am also like, I don't know, because the vaccine thing is not happening as quickly as everybody would like. And I feel like that's probably going to be a big key here. So I don't know. We'll see.
Watch this space.
Yep.
And then speaking of just little interesting tidbits we found on the internet, Matt Wilpers updated his LinkedIn account.
Yes, he has a new position listed as instructor and training specialist at Peloton Interactive. That was via Terry Shelley brought that up to me.
Okay. Any idea what was it before and what this change would be indicative of?
It mentioned some kind of instructor before.
Okay.
It did not mention training specialist. So that's the big question here. What exactly is he training for? We know that Cody is the big bike trainer.
Gotcha. Maybe he's training that guy who's going to help people with the bikes.
Don't think so.
Don't think so?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Also, he the other interesting thing is that I don't think that he would be training for the tread, because I think that falls, I could be wrong. I've always had the impression that fell under like Rebecca and Maddie for the tread side. So what exactly is he training for? Maybe he's training for a power zone. Maybe on the bike, maybe because it's specific, because he did train Olivia and Christine,
right.
and of course Dennis. So that's one theory. I don't know. I don't have another theory besides that.
Okay.
That's where we are.
Just curious.
Mm-hmm.
Getting the psychological edge with Dr. Jenn.
Welcome back to the show. Dr. Jenn Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist and sports psychology consultant. You may know her from VH1's Couple Therapy with Dr. Jenn or VH1's Family Therapy with Dr. Jenn. Her long-running radio show, The Dr. Jenn Show. She's written 4 best-selling books, including The Relationship Fix, Dr. Jenn's 6-Step Guide to Improving Communication, Connection, and Intimacy. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jenn. Hi.
Hi.
Hey there.
Okay, so we have for the last several weeks, except for last week's, we've had our listeners come up with questions for you that they've been dying to ask, and this one I think speaks to a lot of people who are brand new to Peloton. What happens if you're not feeling the Peloton magic? And by that, my interpretation of this person's question is, everybody talks about how much they love Peloton. They can't wait to take another class. They can't wait to get back on their bike. But what if you're the person who can wait? Like you have to force yourself to take another class. Like you're just not feeling it. Like what do you do then?
This is a great question because I think that most beginners feel this.
I agree.
And it's unusual for someone to hop on the bike and from moment one be like, this is the most amazing experience. I can't wait to do it again. And I read a very interesting study that looked at people who maintain long-standing exercise commitments, who are regular exercisers. And what they found was that the people who become these kind of habitual long-term exercisers did it because when asked, what keeps you motivated? Why do you do it? They were very connected to the endorphins they felt, how good they felt when it was done, the improvements that they saw in their strength, their cardio, how great they felt, that there was an association with kind of the end game. Now, the problem is that in the beginning, when you first start Peloton or any exercise regimen, that you're not going to feel that.
Right.
You're going to feel sore. It's going to be hard. You might feel discouraged. You're going to feel like you're weak. You're going to feel like you can't do it. It's going to oftentimes be kind of a discouraging experience in the beginning. But what you have to do is build on that. And so it's almost like at the beginning of your exercise experience, it's almost like you have to think of it as taking your medicine. Like I know that there are times even now, and I think I haven't checked lately. I think I have like a 74, 80 week streak or whatever it is. I love going back because I do have that association, that positive association. And yet there's still times where I'm like, I don't feel like getting on my tread. I don't feel like running today. But what I always tell myself is, how do I want to feel at the end? That's what gets me started. Because I know if I start, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to see it all the way through. Yep. It's starting that oftentimes is the hardest thing. I'm also a big fan of doing things that set you up to succeed. I put out my Peloton wear, and Crystal, personally, how obsessed I am with my Peloton wear. And it's like my clients have even started saying, like, you now wear Peloton when you do therapy. Yes, I am. And it's really comfortable. But I put out my clothes the night before. I know whether I'm doing a run or a spin class, which require different bras.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I put it out in advance, which means that I'm not going to stand there because I can stand there for a half hour debating on and then all of a sudden like, oh, I'm out of time. I've got clients. I can't do that.
Yep.
I set a start time for myself that gives me some leeway if I'm like, oh, you know what? There are more dishes to do in the kitchen than I thought before I get to that workout. But I try to build in so that I am most set up to succeed. So expect to not feel the magic. Expect to feel pretty discouraged at the beginning. But you've heard me talk about a lot, make small, manageable goals. Don't overdo it. The worst thing you can do in terms of killing the Peloton magic is doing too much, too soon, too fast, too hard.
Yes.
Better you do a 10-minute class or a 20-minute class. Don't do an hour class. Don't do a 45-minute class if you're just starting. You may not even want to do a 30-minute class. Work up to that and build on what you've done, because what you want to do is have that first experience of, yes, I did it, because that's what gets you sucked in. And I have a girlfriend in DC who has been quarantined as well. And she called me up and was like, I need some girlfriend time. So we now, once a week, we do our Peloton workout. We do our floor work together via FaceTime.
I love that.
And she's someone who has not exercised her whole life. For her, she was starting early, like as she was kind of starting with me. And, I said, you know what, try doing Emma's Crush Your Core. Do the 4-week Crush Your Core. And she did it. And she was like, I didn't think I'd be able to do it, but now I really like doing core class. And so I was like, great, do 10 minutes of core with me on Thursdays. And she's like, I don't know if I can make it 10 minutes. I was like, well, let's try it. And so we did it. And then now she's like, I can do 10-minute classes. So now she feels great. And she's built on it. Now we've been working out together for a few months and she's kicking ass, and she's lost 10 pounds and she feels really strong. And now she's working out on her own and she's built on her successes. And the only way to feel the Peloton magic is to tolerate it not being an amazing, wonderful experience in the beginning, set small, manageable goals and build on them, and trust the process.
Yes, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. Good advice.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all that. Until next time, where can people find you?
People can find me on social media at Dr. Jenn Mann, 2 N's on Jen, 2 N's on Mann.
Peloton in the news.
So Allie Love is getting hitched.
She is. It's official. She is engaged to Andrew. So they are being dubbed the A-Team.
Okay, that's
their new name.
That's a good couple name.
Yep. And I don't know. They were at some tropical location when he proposed. I know there were fireworks. That's all I got.
Not a euphemism. There were literally fireworks.
Literally fireworks in the Instagram post. And then People magazine reported on it. They were in page 6, the New York, whatever that is.
It is fascinating to have watched the evolution
of the instructors.
Of the instructors as celebrities, because we've been doing this for so long now. This is our 4th year.
Yeah.
Or soon to enter our. No, it's be our 4th anniversary.
Is our 4th,
entering our 5th year soon. And so we've been doing it for a while. And it's like originally it was like a big deal when Peloton even got mentioned in the news.
Yes.
And now like the instructors are flat out celebrities, which we had been predicting from the beginning that they're going to become celebrities. And so she's in People magazine. And
this would not have been a mention in People magazine when we started this podcast.
Absolutely not.
That's pretty cool to see the instructors grow up like that.
Absolutely. See them grow up. There's the fireworks. Yeah. And they have celebrity couple nicknames. It's so big. We have a celebrity couple nickname.
Oh, do we?
We do.
What is it?
Tristal.
What?
No, we have that. That's our.
I didn't know we called it that. I thought, because that's your friend Bonnie named us that.
Yeah.
A member of the media technically called us that.
That's true. She used to work in radio with me, and she coined Tristal.
She did.
Which I think on iTunes when we uploaded the episode, we did it under the name Tristal.
I know we did it under when we did our little thing when we had your guys here from Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah.
And we did that production. We put it under Tristal Productions.
Tristal Productions for the show that we did. So yeah. So there's our celebrity couple nickname.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
We're on the same level as Allie Love.
Finally revealed.
What you guys always wanted to know, right?
Yeah, they've been dying to know that. So, and then Jenn Sherman, speaking of actual famous people, Jenn Sherman was featured on the cover of 201.
Which apparently is a area code in New Jersey.
Right.
Because everyone was like, oh, yeah, I lived in the 201. I didn't know that was a thing. I know they called it that.
I think sometimes people around call us 314. People around here, nowhere else cares.
No,
but
no, I just didn't know. I'm not offended by it or anything. But regardless, she made the cover of the magazine.
Yeah,
that's
she's not just
cool.
in it; she's on the cover.
Yeah,
that's pretty spiffy.
It is. And I know I didn't post the link originally. That's because it wasn't an official link at the time. So for everybody out there, we will post it out on our Facebook page, and of course it will be in the newsletter because Tom is much better about sending it than
I've been pretty good lately.
You have.
I'm not to toot my own horn, but toot.
Well, you just toot right along. I'll do all the other stuff.
I'll take that deal.
Okay.
And then PopSugar had an article about 9 Peloton instructors you should take classes from in 2021.
Yeah. So this is an interesting list because most of these instructors are from what I consider the new instructors. And I consider anybody that's not in the original 13 a new instructor.
Okay.
So for people who are new to Peloton, they're all new to you. I get that.
Right.
But about 2 years ago, that's when the tread got launched. And they added on a bunch of tread instructors. And since then, they've added on cycling instructors. And so a lot of these are new. There's a couple like Robin that are in there, but most of them are on the newer side.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was interesting.
But yeah, I guess you make a good point that there's such an influx of people to Peloton that they have no frame of reference for who's new and who's quote unquote old.
Yeah, I should make like a timeline, put it on our website. But I don't know how to do that. So if anybody knows how to make a timeline and put it on a website, let me know. That sounds like too much work.
It does sound like work. And you just said I don't have to do anything else. So that falls to you. And then Self Magazine had an article, Fitness Changed Big in 2020. Here's what it means for us going forward.
Yes. And they had a bunch of stuff that's going to happen. It's a bunch of predictions, but I thought it was interesting. One, I used to read Self Magazine back when I was going to get all in shape the first time. Mm-hmm. So like 15 years ago.
Right. You were wearing acid wash jeans.
I totally was.
Wearing a swatch.
And I loved Self Magazine. So I think it's cool to see them in Peloton. Just a little bit of a little flashback for me.
Yeah.
But they basically are saying the big one is digital and online fitness are going to stick around. I don't think that shocks any of us.
Yeah.
But I love seeing it.
That's a hot take.
I know. I know, right?
Checking out the competition.
CNET had an article about the best smart home gym workouts of 2021. So Peloton is included, but it also has Mirror and Tempo and more.
Yeah, and they're also not included. Like the best budget exercise bike was Echelon. Yeah, that's what I said. But the best full-featured exercise bike was Peloton. And of course, the smart boxing gear. I love that we're so like wired into all these different companies. The best boxing gear was Fight Camp, so
awesome.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Mirror is on here. I did not see anything about Tonal in this one.
That seems like a missed opportunity. I don't
agree.
think anybody's doing what Tonal's doing, and it's a pretty cool machine.
I agree. There's a lot of so they put Tempo in here, but. There's Tonal. I missed it. I probably just scrolled through too fast.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes me feel better because I'm really glad they're in here. I feel like personally that Tonal is the best machine out there for resistance weightlifting. I really do. And I think Tempo is fine for people who like free weights. Like that's fine. That's great. It just doesn't have all the AI built into Tonal. So that's why I feel so strongly about it.
And while we're talking about competitors, Vox.com had an article that neither of us have admittedly had a chance to read yet about SoulCycle. It sounds interesting, though, how SoulCycle lost its soul.
Yeah, it kind of goes through, my understanding of this article based on what people have sent to me is it kind of goes through the entire like timeline of the meltdown that has been SoulCycle.
Yeah.
And one person told me that it seems like watching high school play out. Which, we've kind of talked about that before, that like these guys, it seems like they had a lot of success go to their head and they didn't have somebody to keep them in check.
Right.
So it makes sense to me. Whoa.
Well, I don't know what this is, but there's a picture from the article that says, and it says a sticky note with a quote attributed to Janet Fitzgerald. Is that one of their instructors or something? And the note says, if someone asks you if you are back on cocaine or if you have an eating disorder, you know you've hit your goal weight.
Good God.
Woof.
Woof indeed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, I'm looking forward to reading that article.
Yeah. We might have to touch base on this one again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We might have to stop recording just so we can read this article.
It's like, you know what else it reminds me of? Not only high school, but also bad reality television, like the kind that's like a train wreck and you cannot look away.
Totally.
That's what that article looked like.
Yes.
I can't wait to read it.
And then Shape.com had an article about the best Peloton bike alternatives on Amazon, according to the reviews.
Yeah. Y'all know how I feel about this.
Totally.
But I will say this. There's a lot of good bikes out there that aren't Peloton, but they don't necessarily need to be. There are a lot of really good ones. I've never even heard of this one.
Poo Poo?
It's Poo Boo.
Oh, okay.
Not Poo Poo.
Oh, that's Echelon. I was like, how is Echelon not suing them? And it was called Poo Poo. That's their trademark.
But these bikes a lot of these bikes look well built. Like this Poo Boo one looks well built.
Yeah. And
it has a lot of adjustments and stuff on it. This one does too. Yasudo, that one also appears to be a really good, sturdy bike. Vig Body, I feel like I've heard of this one. That one doesn't look as comfortable to me.
Yeah.
And then Best Quality, I love seeing the Sunny, because I've talked about this before. Sunny is a great bike for people. It is a very inexpensive bike. It's affordable, and it's a very well made bike.
Yeah. And then also, I mean, kind of circling back around on how we open the show, you know, I mean, a lot of people are probably looking for advice like this. If they're having trouble getting a Peloton delivered, they're going to eventually go elsewhere, you know?
Sad but true.
We started talking last week about Logan Active Clean.
Yeah.
Which we've seen a lot of people actually starting to buy it already.
Yes.
We had quite a few people that you posted a thing on YouTube and Facebook about it, and people were Instagram, and people were interacting, and people got to see it in action. So if you want to see that, you can go to our YouTube channel or our Facebook page to kind of see what it looks like, and you kind of walking through and showing how easy it is to just spray all over your damn machine, and you don't got to worry about it hurting a thing.
It's really amazing. It's an alcohol-free product. So as it cleans, it's keeping your surfaces clean, but it's not destroying the surfaces. And obviously we pay a lot of money for these wonderful machines that we have. So it's important that they last.
Right.
And so you can use alcohol-based products on your screen, and you can probably get away with that for a few times. But you're not going to be able to do that over and over again without seeing damage. Over
time, it's going to take a toll.
It is. So these products, I really like them because they're non-toxic, alcohol-free. The fragrance is natural. It's plant-derived. And, you know, this is something we did not mention before. They're made right here in the USA.
Oh, that's a good point.
And also just the different products, there is just a quick breakdown. There's the yoga mat cleaner, and it also cleans all surfaces. They also have an air mist and a hand sanitizer. Also, the hand sanitizer is alcohol free, and they have two different kinds of towels. One is a 10 by 10 and one is a 20 by 14. So the 10 by 10 is great to like clean with, and then the larger one you can actually use while you're working out, which is fabulous.
And they're not $40 towels.
No.
They're just, you know, they're more affordably priced.
They are.
And they're the cool microfiber kinds, so they're softer.
They like soak up a ton of water, so they're super soft. They're comfortable. They don't rip up your face when you like pat it dry. Like and also they don't rip up your equipment when you pat it dry.
And also, if you're looking for just another reason, if you're not sold yet, you can use this to clean your car, because so many cars have the touch screens on it now, and you want to clean the dashboard, but you don't want to damage the screen. And what do you use? You can just take a bottle of this out to your car and wipe it right down, and you are good to go.
Perfect.
And it'll make your car smell like a fancy pants spa.
Yeah, because Tom is super picky, and even he likes the scent of these products. So I tell you what, that is a big deal right there. That's a win.
It's not easy to do, and no, it does not smell like chicken nuggets. That'll be everyone's next question. Does it smell
there's a lot of eucalyptus and spearmint and things like that in the different products. And
but it smells really
good.
Clean.
It does, but not like chemical clean.
Right. Not like detergent or bleach.
Right.
But just fresh.
Fresh.
Yeah.
That's a good way to say it.
You can, if you want to find out more, you can go to their website, loganactiveclean.com, or you can follow them on Twitter and Instagram, I guess, at Logan Active Clean, Facebook Logan Active Clean. And if you order now, use the promo code CLIPOUT10. You'll receive 10% off your order, and any order over $59 in the 48 contiguous states. Look it up. Gets free shipping.
Yeah, very cool.
Peloton Celebrity Sightings.
I'm going to show my age here, but apparently Ciara has a Peloton.
She does. Okay, so I don't actually know either.
We're so old.
I think she's a music artist.
That would make sense.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Oh, guys, I know we should know. I know. I'm embarrassed that we don't.
I'm a rock guy. I don't feel bad.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's pop. I think.
Okay, but she has a Peloton, and I'm sure that will excite lots of people.
And she was kind of talking about her weight loss in general, and mentioned Peloton, and she's mentioned it more than once on her social media.
Gotcha.
So that's pretty cool.
I think that'll probably be the next phase of Peloton in pop culture, is when rappers start name dropping it in songs. Like when like people start saying Grey Goose or whatever. Like
That's funny. That could be true. But wait, there's more.
Right. While we're talking about celebrities and their Pelotons, we found another one, Jonas.
The hesitation was because he was trying to get the image to come up, not because he didn't know. Even he knows this one.
Yes,
Even I know this one.
I have heard of the Jonas brothers. So he rides a Peloton bike, and he posted pictures of it on the gram.
On the gram.
As the kids call it. Here he is trying to look tough.
Yes.
And he's not fooling anybody because he's Joe Jonas. and yeah.
Apparently he likes to ride with Kendall.
So there you go. I was like, who is that? You'll know. I won't. But yeah, so and
then he's in his like Ferrari or Lamborghini or whatever that
trying
is.
to look like James Bond. I'm pretty sure that is a Toyota Camry. He's a Toyota Camry guy. I think we all know that.
Yeah, that seems right.
Yeah.
Peloton birthdays.
So before we wrap things up, Peloton birthdays. Hannah Frankson has a birthday this coming week on January 11th.
Happy birthday, Hannah. Is that our first time giving a UK instructor a birthday? Because like some of the other ones weren't on the list.
They weren't on the list, so like we missed them and had to back. I think we had to back up and do Leanne's birthday.
That's right. Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's the first time we've given Hannah a happy birthday. I know that because she's a new instructor.
Yeah. So her birthday's on January 11th, which is also my ex-wife's birthday. But don't hold that against Hannah Frankson.
No, don't.
Wish her a happy birthday.
You should do that.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Robin January. Hey, Robin, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys doing?
We're good.
Yeah.
We're good. It's nice that it's a weekend. I always enjoy our weekend interviews because we don't have to rush home from work.
I have to rush off to work.
Right.
So
yeah, that's true.
So glad you enjoy that feature. I do not.
Yeah. You have a job.
Well, I hope you have a good evening at work.
Aw,
Me too.
listen
Thank
to that.
you. Yeah, and, you know, I'm already like one step ahead of most people because this is what I get to wear to work, right?
Yeah.
Like this is my.
Oh, nice.
I'm wearing
Yeah.
just a hoodie.
You're
so.
all dressed up in your fancy red hoodie.
Yeah,
That's right. He's got his dress hoodie on.
Yeah, we have our big giant Christmas light display in the parking lot of the arena, and so I'm running that tonight. So I have to
Nice.
dress like this.
But what about you?
Yes.
Yeah, we're talking
She's
about
like,
Peloton. She's
what'd you
like,
have me on for?
Right. Yeah, you guys could do this anytime. So, Robin, how did you originally find Peloton?
So I have been an at-home exerciser for years, like going back to the firm.
I had
which
the
I've heard
firm.
you talk about before.
Oh my God.
So I was a firm fanatic. I even visited their studio.
No, you
in
did not.
Columbia, South Carolina. Yes.
Oh my
So
God.
I had like a personal training session with one of them. I took classes. So other than the fact that I am solid.
What is the firm? I don't know. Like so I'm a middle-aged guy. So for me, the firm is a super group with Jimmy Page and Paul Rogers.
So you know the steps I have out there in my workout area, like the purple and the blue one.
Okay,
that's from the firm.
Fanny lifters.
Yes,
Ah.
yes, yeah. I have the fanny lifter left over from the firm. It was a workout video.
That's why your fanny is so hard to reach. Like it's on a high shelf.
It's a workout video from back in the day.
Okay,
and they did a great
back
job
when there were VHS.
Exactly, and they did a great job of mixing strength and cardio.
Okay,
they were one of the.
Yes.
I would say right then they were kind of the only one.
Was
at
that their
home.
big hook? They send you these steps to step up on.
No, they also had a bar, and so it was like your little weights, and you had lifted the bar, and did some weights.
Okay.
Am I doing it right, Robin? There was a lot of these moves.
It's funny. When I got my tonal, I sold one of my firm steps and that little bar that you're talking about.
No, you did not.
I posted on Facebook that I'm coming up to like the current technology age, and I'm getting rid of like the VHS era workout equipment.
I don't know what happened to the bar. It got lost in one of the many moves, but I still have those steps because whenever I do work out in the tonal, and sometimes they have you do steps up on the bench, it's a little, my knee's a little wobbly and it hurts my knee. So I use those steps still. I still use them.
Yes, I still have one set and I use them too. So
awesome.
Yeah, I thought you would appreciate that.
I love it.
You go all the way back to the firm.
I'm just curious, when you listed them on Facebook, was somebody like, oh my God, these are a collector item, or I still do that and I've been looking for these, or were they just like, sure, I'll exercise, this is as good as anything?
I think it was the latter.
Gotcha.
I posted them for free, and it's like, and it was during, we're still in the time of COVID, but it was in May, so we were like thick into
nobody
COVID
could find weights
quarantine.
anywhere.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, people, one person like snagged that up. So
and let me tell you something about that bar, Tom. That bar
is nice and firm.
That's awesome. The bar had 3 pieces to it, so the ends came off, so you could use them as hand weights.
Nice.
Yes.
It was cool.
That's pretty fancy.
It was.
I mean, for 1998 or whenever you were doing it.
It was around then. Might have been early 2000.
Gotcha.
Might have been early 2000s. I don't remember exactly. I don't know.
I just didn't know if there was still like a cult, or some things there's
that's
people,
a good question.
even though it might have died down, there's still like diehard people that still do it, that want it.
Yeah, that's a good question.
And then things get hard to find, and so
I'm gonna have to look that up now that we've had a conversation again about the firm. I'm gonna have to look that up and see.
Well, you'd have to find a VHS recorder to even do some of those classes.
You would, but I didn't know if they still exist in some form or fashion. Because they kept trying to come out with new things there for a while.
Yes,
and so I didn't know if they had a new, if they still exist, but they're doing something different these days. I have no idea.
Yeah. So I'm like prime target market for Peloton.
Okay.
Other than the fact that I work out in an unfinished basement that doubles as my laundry room, I am target market.
Okay.
So I was prime for the taking. I bought a really nice spin bike in 2011, thinking that I would just do my own thing on it. After we had our last child, and it sat there and collected dust for a few years. So I actually found a gym out of California that sold virtual memberships. It was a boutique fitness studio, and they offered indoor cycling and combo classes like cycling and sculpt, like the Peloton boot camp. They had everything from TRX to yoga, and I was all in. And through that group, through that gym, I found a group of members who are all over the world, and we have this kind of OG Facebook group.
Wow.
And so I'm still friends with this 30 or 40 people in this Facebook group, but we do a variety of at-home workouts. So when Peloton first released their iOS app, it was free, and not just for 2 weeks, not just for 3 months. I think it was free for like a considerable amount of time. And you might know, Crystal, how long.
I think it was just free. I don't think you had to do anything, but it was much more limited in scope than it is today, right? I mean, you couldn't really do very much with it. Now, I didn't have the app because we all know that Android took a while to come out with the app. So there wasn't I don't think there was a whole lot going on with the Apple app. I mean, you could certainly use it, but you couldn't do all the cool things you can do with it today, and it didn't look as pretty back then.
So you could take an on-demand class or a live class, and I think that was about it.
Yeah.
So someone in this Facebook group that I was in said, Peloton has released the app. If you're interested to see what it's all about, download it and try it. And I did. And it seemed like it was very geared towards people who actually had the bike, because the classes were even named things like metrics. And so I tried a class, didn't really work for me, deleted the app and thought that was it.
Oh my gosh.
I know, but it gets better. Well,
thanks for joining us.
It was great. Tom, have a nice evening at work. In 2017, another one of my friends from this group, hey Jody, started posting these heart rate graphs where she was in a heart rate zone from like 70 to 79% for an entire class. And when I first saw it, I thought she must be like walking on a treadmill, because I had 2 speeds for working out. I was either 0 doing restorative yoga or 100 doing spin, sculpt, TRX. There was no in between for me. And I was working out way too hard 6 days a week. So the more she posted, we finally started asking what in the world she was doing. And she was doing Peloton classes. So in late 2017, like the last week of December, I downloaded the app again to try it. And I took a heart rate zone endurance class, and that was all she wrote. I mean, I was all in, immediately did her 3-month training plan for heart rate zone training. And the rest is history.
So not love at first sight, but
not love at first sight. And I wish I knew what class I did, back in 2015 or 16. But I think it would be like if a brand new person with a non-Peloton bike tried like Kendall's movie themed ride.
Oh, because it would just be so like you wouldn't have any kind of context about why they're doing anything they're doing.
You wouldn't get that. That's more of like a one-off, gimmicky, silly kind of a thing, as opposed to like you'd think like, oh, geez, they're all like this. Like that's a bit that's a bit much.
Yeah,
I don't need classes by Rip Torn. Like that's that's a bit much. I also think I find it interesting. People complain a lot about Peloton making so many changes and tweaks and fixes and it's like, I also can't help but wonder if maybe that's part of it, right? Like if maybe some of the changes they made in the interim made it more appealing to you. And so when people kind of complain about that, maybe this is the unintended as far as we know, not unintended from Peloton's standpoint, is maybe they're seeing metrics that can show them like, oh, people do 1 or 2 of these and then they're out if they're brand new, and maybe we adjust. I mean, they do some deep data mining over there.
They absolutely do. That's an interesting point. It was also kind of a blast from the past to hear you say that, they used to have classes labeled as metrics. I had completely forgotten about that. Like that was so long ago. That was back in the day. They had those metrics classes, and
I still don't know what they are. I don't think
it just means that it's based on your cadence and your how fast you're going and your resistance. Like it was very focused on that, as opposed to like a groove ride where you're focused on the beat of the music. So you were trying to hit certain goals as opposed to just enjoying the ride. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And speaking of blasts from the past, remember when we were talking about the firm?
Yeah. What did you find?
I found they're still around.
They are? Oh my gosh.
I know Robin's on her phone, so it's probably a little hard to see.
I was like, my computer just did something.
Yeah,
that was
I shared the screen.
I'm on the computer. But
yeah.
Okay, I thought I did something wrong.
No. I found the firm while we were talking about blasts from the past. I'm like, remember when we were talking about the firm?
Oh my gosh.
It's still around.
Hey, that lady was one of the teachers back then too. That Allison Davis.
Yes.
That's her. But she went by Allie back then, I think.
But yeah, so there's the firm for people watching our YouTube channel.
Oh my gosh.
It's still, you can see the screen grab, but it's and then there's I just think it's funny that like on their website, their official website, there's some sort of weird coding, so anything that's supposed to be an apostrophe is actually a question mark.
Whoopsies.
So that's the level of the attention to detail that they're exhibiting over there. So
wow.
I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Okay.
You were talking about heart rate zone training, and I interrupted.
Yeah, that was a blast from the past. So I think heart rate zone training is a great entry point for app riders in particular, because you don't need a way to gauge resistance. You can
That's a good point.
Focus on cadence and focus on heart rate. And if you don't have a heart rate monitor, you can go through perceived exertion. So if you're an app rider and you need to, start to understand Peloton, I think it's a great way to train. But you better do it before they all get purged.
I know, right? Oh my gosh. We were just talking about this morning because Tom and I were having a whole conversation about...
Yes, we talk about it when we're not recording as well.
Yeah, that's true. But we were talking about the new feature that's going to be coming out for class stacking and why that's so important to the core the core group of Peloton riders who have been around for a long time. And that kind of hits on it, that like when Peloton was very focused on heart rate training, everybody talked about the fact that like longer classes at a lower intensity were how you train to be prepared for 100-mile ride or to go out and do bigger sports activities that lasted for a long time, endurance. And also it was great for fat burning. And so now that a lot of those classes are being purged, being able to still stack classes is going to be a key feature for people, especially in conjunction with that skip intro button. So that'll be interesting. So I think that is excellent advice for new people who are checking out Peloton through the app to try Heart Rate Zone. I think that's smart.
And I thought I would jump into Power Zone immediately after, because that was a 3-month program. And that's when I decided I needed the actual bike, because I could measure watts on my bike, but then I, hand calculated my zones and wrote them on a piece of paper. But then I had to look in 4 different places, the paper for my zones, my watch for my heart rate, the monitor for cadence, and then a TV to see
what was actually happening.
And so it was like the most stressful class. I was all over the place, trying to keep up. And that's when I decided, okay, I've got to get the bike.
Well, Power Zone training wasn't, at that point, it was invented by an air traffic controller. I don't know if people know that or not.
Well, I'm glad I'm not. Everyone should be glad I'm not an air traffic controller, because I couldn't do it. It's like, this is too much.
So Power Zone training is actually what got you to get the actual bike.
Yes. And I wanted to find a good used bike. And that took a few months. Even back in 2018, they were hard to find. But I found one in Missouri.
What?
And so I bought, because I'm in Arkansas.
I was like, wait, where do you live?
Yes. So I'm in Northwest Arkansas. And when we got our spring soccer schedule, I put out alerts in all those areas.
Smart.
To see if there was something available. And I found one in Missouri, which ironically was the day that my life kind of changed forever, was the day I got that bike. But not for, oh, my life changed, I got this great bike. That's when my health scare happened.
Yeah. But I mean, so I didn't realize it happened that very day. So, okay. Wow. Okay. Well, tell us about that, because that was going to be one of my next questions anyway.
Yes. So we were out of town at a soccer tournament. It was early in the morning and I was working out at the hotel gym. It was my birthday. That's why I remember the date.
Sure.
And I suffered an injury during a workout, and I thought I had like the worst pulled neck muscle, or possibly torn muscle, because it was, I experienced such an intense, searing, instantaneous pain during a set of bicycle crunches. And my first reaction was, oh, I got to finish this workout. I got to get on to the next set of exercises. But I realized within a few seconds that there was something really wrong. I almost passed out, and I couldn't keep my balance, and I could barely walk. I had to really focus on staying upright. So I got up to the hotel room, I laid down, everything kind of subsided, and we went off and bought the used Peloton that, I was so dead set on getting. And we took it home the next day, and I helped my husband carry it up the stairs.
Oh my gosh.
And I took a 20-minute ride because I hadn't worked out that day. And I got off and I felt horrible. And the next day I passed out at work, and luckily someone was in the office with me. And I just remember coming to with her taking my pulse. She's a retired nurse, and ended up going to the ER, but I went to a very small specialty, like sports type ER, because I assumed it was a sports injury. And they told me it was a pulled muscle. But I also had like alarmingly high blood pressure. So they referred me to just my regular family doctor. So fast forward, I had all these crazy symptoms for a month. I finally got in to see a neurologist, and I was diagnosed with a torn vertebral artery. That's an artery that runs through your cervical spine, and it carries oxygenated blood to the back of your brain. And the back of your brain controls heart and lungs. So you need that blood supply to live. And when I was diagnosed, they told me that we all have two arteries, one on each side. They both go up our neck and carry blood. So if something happens to one, the other one takes up the slack. Well, the other one, in my case, I was born with it not connecting to my brain. So my life depends on this artery that's now damaged. And when you tear the artery, it tears the inside of it. And your body does what it's supposed to do. It starts healing that spot by clotting, just like if you had a cut on your skin.
Right.
But because the blood flow, those clots break off, and those clots cause strokes.
Yeah,
so
that's a stroke.
Yeah. So every time I had double vision, or I passed out, or I had all these crazy random symptoms, those were small strokes.
Oh my God.
We just didn't know it because they present very differently than what we think of as a stroke that affects one side of your body.
Right. So how long had that been going on for that you before you realized it?
That went on for a month, and I was in and out of the doctor's office. We ran test after test. Everything checked out. It wasn't until I saw a neurologist who knew what he was looking for.
Right.
And he ordered the right test. And when you get a call, when you have an afternoon appointment for the results, but you get a call an hour and a half before telling you that you need to come in immediately.
That's not good.
Okay, something's wrong.
Yeah, that's not like, surprise, you won a contest.
Yeah.
So how... I was just curious because I definitely want to hear the rest of it. I just had a question along the way.
Sorry.
How do you tear something like that? Like, it seems like it's pretty enclosed.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. It's one of my superpowers.
You have shitty superpowers. You need to trade them in. Yeah.
That and doesn't lose an ounce of weight exercising 7 days a week. Those are my two main superpowers.
I've got that one.
I think I just had the right amount of force and the right type of angle that caused it. But there are a lot of people who have underlying conditions like genetic conditions or connective tissue disorders. I haven't been evaluated for those, but it is common. It is more common in some people.
Gotcha.
They also, every time I went, after they diagnosed me, I kept being asked if I used drugs. And I was like, why are they asking me this? But apparently certain drugs can weaken your artery walls and can cause these dissections.
Either that or your doctors really like to party.
So who
knows, Tom?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But what was the official diagnosis?
Yeah.
Like, how does, so were they just like, oh, you've been having mini strokes? Or were they like, there's something bigger going on here?
Yes. So they told me I had suffered a vertebral artery dissection that caused mini strokes, and I had also developed a brain aneurysm. So at where that artery tore, it weakened the outside lining, and it allowed it to balloon out into an aneurysm.
Oh my
and that
gosh.
aneurysm was sitting at the base of my brain. And so that at that time, that was a big concern for either rupture or like a massive stroke, because blood can also pool inside an aneurysm and clot and then, break off, and that's it.
Wow.
So they sent me straight from that neurologist's office to the ER. And they told me, you're going to meet with the stroke team and, you're going to talk about what your next steps are. So I go into the ER thinking I'm going to sit down and talk to some doctors about what we do next. And instead, they have a wheelchair waiting for me, and they wheel me right back, hook me up to IVs, do a full neuro assessment. They're trying to determine if they're going to keep me in the hospital or, what the plan is. And I was just like, what is happening? But their plan for me was to let me see if I could heal on my own. They put me on, several medications. Ideally, you want these dissections to heal on their own, because if you go in there and intervene, it can cause more damage. But to heal on your own, you have to stop all activity. So not just don't exercise, Robin. It was don't do chores, don't go outside and get too hot. I couldn't do anything that would raise my heart rate or my blood pressure. I was allowed to go to work for 4 hours a day and sit at a desk and then come home and get into bed. And at the time, our boys were 12 and 6. We have twin boys and our younger son. And it was completely life-changing, because life basically stops. And that was what my life was like for 3 months.
3 months.
No activity.
Whoa.
And they rechecked me 3 months later, and we were hoping for signs of healing, but there were no signs of healing. And that's when they said, we've got to go in and do a surgery to see if we can address the aneurysm.
So all that for nothing.
Oh
I know.
That had to be so frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And scary,
Yeah.
because it didn't heal itself at any time. Had you done something, you could have knocked off a piece of that blood clot.
Right.
And oh my gosh, how terrifying.
So what were those 3 months like? Was that like just something that was constantly on your mind, or could you kind of put that aside for some stretches of time, or were you constantly worried like at any moment the other shoe could drop?
Oh, you feel like you have a ticking time bomb in your head, and you don't know if you're going to wake up in the morning. You have days like that. It was 3 months of a lot of anxiety, and luckily I have a very strong faith, and we had a wonderful support system. Ironically, the day before I was diagnosed, my mom actually moved in with us because she was renovating her house, and she basically took over as mom. When I was in bed, she was the one keeping the house running.
Wow.
So it all worked out. But yeah, that was a tough 3 months.
Especially because you couldn't do anything to physically to process that anxiety.
Exactly. The way I handle things is to get on the bike. That's therapy for me. And so when the doctor said, be a couch potato, but don't gain a lot of weight, because if you gain a lot of weight, that puts stress on the artery. I was like, well,
what do you want me to do with the stress?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So at some point they told me I could walk slowly walk. Like I would walk down to the mailbox and back. Like I would walk for 2 minutes, and then I would walk for 5 minutes. And I took my heart rate monitor. I checked my heart rate. So at some point, I hope none of my doctors are listening to this. At some point, I got on the bike and I kept my heart rate below 100 beats per minute, because that's what it got to when I walked slowly up a hill near my house.
Smart girl.
And I got on, and there were some days where I did 5 minutes, and I just pedaled, and my heart rate was like in the 80s, but it just reminded me, okay, I'm alive.
Yeah.
I'm doing what I love. It's only 5 minutes. And for all those people that wonder if these 5-minute classes
I was
count,
just thinking that.
Absolutely, they do. You do what you can when you can to the best of your ability.
I was going to say the same thing when you got done. I was just like, and for all those people, like that's not everybody's out there gaming the system. Like sometimes this is what they got.
That was literally life-changing, life-saving for you to be able to get on and do those 5 minutes. That meant everything, I'm sure.
Oh, yes. So we ended up going for a second opinion at Mayo Clinic. And when that doctor told me, yes, we need to do surgery and we need to do it as soon as possible, the first thing I said to my husband was, take me to Minneapolis. It was about an hour away, to the Mall of America. There is a Peloton kiosk there. I need to get on the bike and I need to process this diagnosis and this plan for surgery. So we have pictures of me at that time at the Mall of America, which this seems crazy to me. They only had a kiosk. And so you're like in a fishbowl in the biggest, isn't it the biggest mall in America?
It is.
Yeah.
They had like 2 or 3 bikes. This was September of 2018. I put on a Christine class, put my headphones on, and we have pictures of me riding the bike, processing, okay, I have to have brain surgery. But that's how I deal with things. I get on the bike.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's the journey.
So then how'd the surgery turn out or go? Or obviously it worked to some degree. You're talking to us, but
what came next?
Yes. Yeah. There we go. That's the proper way to ask that question.
So a couple of weeks later, I had a stent in that artery. And the goal was to divert blood flow away from the aneurysm so that the aneurysm would shrink. And 6 months later, I went back for a recheck, another surgery, and it worked. So the brain aneurysm is gone. And at that point, I was able to start getting back into working out again.
How scary was that first ride? That first ride where you're like, I don't have to worry about this. I took it so slow, not only with riding, because actually I had been riding prior to that. They told me as soon as I had that surgery in October, I needed to rest for 2 weeks and then I could slowly start incorporating exercise again. And I just started with cardio. I did not do any form of strength training for a year. Whoa. So I started with cardio, and I think the scariest part for me was getting back into strength training because I was so worried about straining too much and, doing something to that artery. But the bike just felt fantastic. And when I pushed too hard, my body would tell me, like my face would go numb or my head would go numb, and I would back off. Yeah.
And I would get off the bike and I would drink a lot of water and I would rest for a few days and then I would come right back to it. It did not scare me enough to stop. And every week I just continued to get better and better. And then when I started strength training, especially upper body, I didn't even use weights. I mean, I would do arms classes just like with holding fists, like with absolutely no weight. But I progressed so quickly. Your body remembers. And by December 2019, I was doing Andy's Total Strength program.
That's incredible. That's really incredible.
Just getting stronger every day. But, tying it all together, Christine's heart rate zone training, it allowed me to work out at an effort that was what my body needed at the time. In fact, before my diagnosis, I would get on the bike and I realized that my effort level did not match my heart rate. So my heart rate was sky high, but my effort level felt pretty, I'm okay. And that was a red flag that something is off. And now post-surgery and with, everything is healed, heart rate matches effort. I don't work out nearly as hard as I used to. I'm doing a lot more strength now. I do primarily endurance. If I do high intensity, they're like the 15-minute HIIT classes. And oh my goodness, some of those 15-minute HIIT classes on the bike are super hard, like super intense. So that's all you need.
I agree with that, and I often tell people who are new, don't feel like a long class is out of reach and a short class isn't, because those short classes can really take you out. They are harder than a long class, in my opinion.
So is this something that is kind of done now, or is it something that once it's happened to you, you're more likely to have it happen again, or your body works in such a way that you need to be concerned about it, or is it kind of like it was a fluke thing and now you're good?
I'm really hoping it was a fluke thing and it never happens again. Who knows? And I will be rechecked. So they'll check me again in another few years, just to make sure that, everything is good. But I just, you got to live your life. So I just keep going each day. And I don't think about it nearly as much as I used to. But yeah, it's always a little bit of a concern.
Yeah. Are there things that they have you do that are things that will prevent it from happening again? Or is it just like that was just an odd occurrence? We don't know what caused it. So we don't have anything for you to do to prevent it.
So I'll be on aspirin for the rest of my life, just as a stroke prevention.
Okay.
I think that's the main concern at this point. And, all I can say is if it happens again, let it happen on the other one that doesn't even connect to my brain, and then I'll never know.
Right. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Is there a way to connect it? Like, now that they know, I didn't know if that was even an option. I'm not a doctor.
No, it's not. And in fact, where my aneurysm was located maybe 15 or 20 years ago, they wouldn't have been able to do anything about it. They did a procedure that is is newer, I think maybe 10 years old.
Wow.
So I'm just grateful that it happened at this point when medical advances have caught up and can do these types of procedures.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, how is the Peloton community and the Peloton bike itself? How does that all fit into your recovery and what life looks like now?
Exercise is so much a part of my day. It's like I get up and I make my bed every day. I view exercise the same way. And I don't do it to look a certain way. I do it because I really do love it. And the community of Peloton has been so supportive, along with my core group of Facebook friends that have kind of been with me through this whole journey. It's been a really positive part of my recovery. And I have a little story about all of that coming together. Have you done Christine's Pink ride?
I don't know that I actually took the ride, because that was the one. Didn't that get taken down and then she redid it? Is that the one?
I don't think so. It was one of the artist series rides, and it was all Pink music.
How have I not? I need to see if I've done that, because Pink is one of my favorite. Yeah, absolutely.
It's really good. It's really hard. I've only done it once because it was tough. But I think it's only 30 minutes. You should check it out. So it was like a minor milestone for me, like a 50, I don't know if it was 550 or what, but it was a minor milestone. I wasn't even thinking about a shout out. I did it live, but I got a shout out and it was incredible. And my leaderboard name is Aneurysm Survivor. So a few weeks later, or sometime later, someone posts on the official Peloton member page, the OPP turned OPMP. Yeah. And she got on the bike that day because she had just lost her best friend to a brain aneurysm rupture. And she got on the bike today and she chose Pink because it was her best friend's favorite musician. And in the ride, she hears my shout out to Aneurysm Survivor, and she tagged me. And she didn't tag me in this post. She just said, "Whoever you are, I just want to let you know how happy I am that you're alive. And I got on this ride not knowing that I would be reminded of my friend because of Pink, but having no idea that I would hear about an aneurysm survivor on the ride." And so she someone recognized me and tagged me so I could respond to her. And then Christine came on and said that she lost her father to an aneurysm rupture. Oh. And it's like this, all of these things that just come together. Christine is my absolute favorite instructor. I feel like she's been with me every step of the day. Every step of the way. I've never met her. I may never meet her in person, but she has been such a special part of my recovery, and just to, be reminded that we're strong and capable, and, whatever we can do is the best we can do. So it was a really special moment that I will never forget.
That's magical. That is the power of Peloton right there.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's amazing.
So normally we ask how you came up with your leaderboard name, but I think we got a handle on that one. Yeah.
Yep.
So
thanks for lightening the mood, Tom.
That's what I do. It's really my only skill. So do you have any advice for people just getting a Peloton?
Oh, try all the content, and don't pigeonhole yourself into one instructor. Try them all. Try different rides. I ride with almost everybody. I also have the tread now. I run with everybody. Andy completely changed the way I strength train. I love very specific programs with heavy weights. There is so much content. Just try it all.
That is excellent advice. Awesome. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us and for sharing that story with us. It was quite the tale.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
I feel anxious just having heard it. I can't imagine having lived it, know?
I can't either. Yeah. Wow.
So
don't feel anxious. It had a happy ending.
Yeah, I know, but it was a roller coaster.
He's going to be like, this is another reason I don't exercise. That's what he's going to say. I know he is.
It's cool that you don't exercise. I have a husband who does not exercise, so I fully support that. Sorry, Crystal. And it makes for a great podcast.
Yeah, when you were talking about the prescription was sit on the couch and do nothing for 3 months, I'm like, I could have been getting one of these every 3 months for the last 10 years. And I would never know. I would just be constantly
throw in some chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
And you're good to go.
So before we go, where can people find you on social media if you would like to be found?
Yeah, so I'm in pretty much every single Peloton group. I'm not super active, but you can find me in most of them. And I just started Instagram. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm January.Robin on Instagram. And I only use it to post my workouts, my Tonal and Peloton workouts. So you can find me there.
That's awesome.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
So I guess that brings this one to a close. What, pray tell, do you have in store for people next week?
Well, for anybody who listened last week when I said it's going to be either or, they probably can figure it out. But in case you didn't listen, we're going to be talking to Angelo Poli, and he is with MetPro, and he's going to blow your mind with all kinds of weight loss information, nutrition information, exercise.
Not gimmicky stuff.
Not gimmicky.
We're not going to sell you supplements or potions.
Not at all. We're going to talk science is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, this is going to be a special treat because we just had the interview, and I happen to know you guys are going to want to listen to the end of this interview. There's going to be some news dropped that's going to blow your mind, and you need to be there.
Okay.
That's all I'll say.
Okay. So until next week, where can people find you?
People can find me at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on Instagram, Twitter, the bike, and of course the tread at Clip Out Crystal.
And you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe or on Twitter at Roger Kubert. You can find the show online, facebook.com/The Clip Out. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and of course sign up for our newsletter at theclipout.com, and wherever you're getting your podcast from, be sure and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you want to see our lovely faces as all these words spill out of our mouth, you can go check out youtube.com/theclipout. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep pedaling
and running.
Clip in, set yourself